I thought I was comforting my girlfriend after a miscarriage, but I found out she drank poison to end the pregnancy. She says it was for attention, and now I don't know who she is. Posted by you/no_situation_9708. I, 28M, have been dating my girlfriend, 26F, for 4 years. She has always told me that she wanted children. While we never actively tried for one, I never pressured her into it. It was more her idea. I make enough money, and we own a home, so having a baby is something we can manage. To clarify, I'm not mad at her for this. I'm extremely concerned, and I feel like everything she has said about wanting a baby was a lie. Abortion is also legal up to 21 weeks of pregnancy in our state. She told me she was pregnant. She was having symptoms and took a test. She was happy and excited. I was happy too and offered to make an appointment for her. We went together and found out she was 6 weeks pregnant. We started planning, and she even told her friends and family. She ended up having a miscarriage around 9 weeks. It was sudden, and she was upset. I comforted her as best I could. It seemed very tough for her, so I tried to support her through it. A few days later, I had to retrieve something from a drawer in our bedroom, and I found some herbs hidden under a bag. They were pennyroyal and mugwort. I was confused because I've heard of pennyroyal being used to induce miscarriages. I asked her about it, and she immediately became defensive, claiming she didn't know where it came from. I kept pressing, and she eventually admitted that she had used it to terminate the pregnancy. She started crying, and I was in shock. I asked her why. I told her she didn't have to lie to me, and I was confused because she was the one who really wanted a baby. She didn't give me an answer. I told her we needed to go to the hospital to make sure she wasn't hurt since pennyroyal is toxic, but she kept refusing. It's been a few days, and she seems fine physically. I've tried to ask her about this, but she says she doesn't want to talk about it. She has been telling her friends and family that she had a miscarriage and is accepting their condolences. I don't want to push her anymore, but I don't know what to do. I'm worried she might be having a mental breakdown. I eventually told her not to mention having a baby to me again because I can't trust her about it anymore. She was upset, but what else could I say? I can't help thinking, in the back of my mind, that she might have done this for attention from her friends and family. I feel like a terrible person for even thinking that. Edit. Thank you for all the information on the herbs and the advice. I can't respond for a few hours because I won't be on Reddit, but I plan to talk to her tonight. Tomorrow, or whenever things have calmed down, I will make an update. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA. Speaking as a professional herbalist, pennyroyal can indeed cause liver or kidney damage, depending on the quantity and potency. Mugwort is less toxic but can cause miscarriage by significantly affecting hormone levels. I highly suggest she get a medical checkup and mention the herbs she ingested. That said, this is a relationship-ending decision. While your partner has every right to decide to terminate an unwanted pregnancy, she lied to you, concealed her decision to use a dangerous method, and accepted condolences for a miscarriage she caused. This indicates a mental health issue that is not safe for future family plans, let alone the trust issues caused by her deception. She needs therapy, and you need to leave this relationship or decide never to have children together. If she had used these herbs later in the pregnancy, there could have been serious risks to her and the baby. Just because something is natural doesn't make it safe. Hemlock and cyanide are natural too. You need to leave this relationship. It's not safe, and she cannot be trusted. Up. Thank you for this. She won't tell me how much pennyroyal she used but admitted to drinking about 8 strong cups of mugwort. I'm guessing she's worried I'll call an ambulance or force her to go to the hospital. I didn't get a close look at how much pennyroyal is left, so I'll have to recheck. I really don't know why she won't tell me. You're right, I think I need to end this relationship, but it might be messy. I'll talk to her tonight when I'm free. Commenter 2. I can see 2 possible reasons why she might have done this. She realized she isn't ready to be a mother. The baby wasn't yours. Up. I didn't even think about the second possibility. For the first, I understand, but I'm shocked she didn't opt for a medical abortion instead. She'll have to deal with the negative side effects of the herbs. She knows I'm pro-choice, and I've been vocal about it. I'm surprised she didn't come to me for support or just go to a clinic herself. There's even a Planned Parenthood nearby. Update 1, 1 day later. For some context, we have a Planned Parenthood that specializes in abortions about 5 minutes away. I understand why people might think she didn't want a medical abortion because of protesters, and I get it. However, I drive by that location every day for work, and I've never seen any protesters there. It's usually empty except for a few cars parked on the side of the road. Still, I can understand why she might have avoided a medical abortion based on some of the comments I read. I asked her why she did this and what her goal was. She tried hard to avoid the conversation and even left the room. I apologize if this makes me seem like an asshole, but I told her that if we couldn't talk about this, I would have to end the relationship. She came back in and admitted that the reason she did it was that she felt her family had never given her enough attention or support. She wanted to tell them she had a miscarriage so they would feel bad for her. I was stunned. I asked why she didn't just get a medical abortion and lie about it instead of harming her body with a toxic herb. She said she wanted to have the experience of having an actual miscarriage. I was completely confused and in shock, so I didn't say much else. It all sounded so bizarre to me. She begged me not to break up with her and said she didn't want me to be angry. I also asked her if there was any chance the baby wasn't mine. She said no. I told her she needs therapy immediately. I can thankfully afford therapy, so I offered to pay for her sessions if she agreed to go. She said yes. I also told her she needed to go to the hospital because of the potential risks to her health. I mentioned some of the comments about the risks of sepsis, liver damage, and kidney damage, which seemed to scare her into agreeing to get checked out. We went to the hospital last night, and thankfully, she is okay. She admitted to drinking about 1 cup of pennyroyal tea daily for a few days. I also learned she was taking other things, such as high doses of vitamin C, turmeric, and parsley. That's where things stand for now. I love her and want to be with her, but all of this feels so sudden and out of the blue. Thank you for all your comments on the last post. If anything else happens, I'll provide another update. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. She seems to have serious mental health issues, as others have mentioned. If you choose to stay with her, I'd be extremely cautious about having children with her. She was willing to harm herself for attention, and there's no telling what she might do if you already had a child. I've seen cases where mothers fake their child's illness for attention. She seems deeply troubled and manipulative. I don't think she intends to hurt anyone out of malice, but her actions are still very concerning. If you stay, therapy is an absolute must. OP, thank you. The idea of having a baby is completely off the table now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm leaning heavily toward ending the relationship after reading the comments. I'm just worried about her possibly harming herself if I do break up with her. Final update. 2 days later. A lot has happened since my last post, but things are calmer now. I hope this will be my final update. Apologies in advance, as this is going to be long. In my last post, I told her she needed to go to therapy as soon as possible. I said I would pay for everything because all I wanted was for her to get professional help. That was my only condition for moving forward. However, I hadn't set up anything yet because she told me she didn't want to go to therapy anymore. She said she would never repeat what she did and didn't believe she needed therapy. We argued back and forth about this, but she was insistent. I told her I couldn't stay in the relationship if she refused therapy. She argued that if I loved her, I would stay regardless, and she claimed it wasn't that big of a deal. Hearing that made me furious. Not only did she deliberately end the pregnancy we had planned, but she also harmed herself just to experience an actual miscarriage, and I no longer trust her. I considered telling her parents at that point because I was deeply concerned about her mental health. When I accidentally mentioned it during our argument, she begged me, literally got on the ground and begged me, not to tell them. I took her word because I didn't want to worsen her emotional state. I told her I couldn't continue in the relationship. I said it was no longer my responsibility to take care of her because all of this had been driving me to my breaking point. I was holding it together, but I couldn't handle it anymore. To make things worse, before this fight, she posted on Facebook about her miscarriage again, saying she was heartbroken and accepting condolences in the comments. I brought it up, and she gave me the same excuse as before, that she wanted to feel important to her friends and family. She seemed indifferent, as if she thought I wouldn't care. I told her to stop posting about it and to stop lying to people. When I told her I was serious about breaking up, I gave her the option to either stay at my place for now or go back to her parents. At this point, she was lying on the ground crying. I kept my phone ready in case I needed to call for help because I had a gut feeling she might harm herself. She kept coming out of the room she was packing in to hug me, saying she wanted one last hug. At one point, she came out wearing one of my shirts, which she wasn't wearing before, and took it off in front of me, saying, "Here's your shirt back." I have no idea what she was trying to do. Eventually, she left and went to her parents' house. As she was leaving, she started crying harder, and I think it finally hit her that I was serious about the breakup. She has since been messaging and calling me non-stop, alternating between begging me to take her back, saying she wants therapy now, and promising she'll never do anything like this again. I've been ignoring all of it. This is no longer my responsibility, and her parents can take care of her now. Unfortunately, my worst fear came true. Her mother contacted me to let me know that she attempted to harm herself. She's now in the hospital, and I assume she's on a psychiatric hold. Thankfully, she is physically okay. That's where things stand now. I don't plan to go back to her, and I'm trying to move on and stop thinking about all of this. I also plan to get a good lock for my door. Thank you to everyone who provided advice in my previous posts. Edit, I decided to tell her parents everything. I shared the messages between us, took photos of the herbs she used, and explained everything in detail. Thankfully, her parents didn't accuse me of anything or react negatively. They thanked me for letting them know and said they would pass the information on to the hospital. I don't know what will happen next, but she's still being held at the hospital. I'll update here if anything else significant happens. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad you pulled yourself out of the relationship because she is not mentally healthy. I recommend staying in contact with her parents to ensure she gets the help she needs. Her actions were seriously troubling. I'm planning to tell her parents very soon. I didn't do it earlier because they're pro-life, and I wasn't sure if it was a good idea. I know she's not my responsibility anymore, but I still don't want her to spiral even further without getting proper support. Commenter 2. You're not the asshole. You've been carrying the weight of a situation far beyond what most people could handle. You did your best to set healthy boundaries and ensured her safety by involving her parents. Her refusal to seek therapy, manipulative behavior, and the way she handled the miscarriage, both physically and emotionally, were huge red flags. Stepping away was the right decision. Her mental health is not your responsibility, especially when she refuses help. Focus on your own well-being now, and don't let guilt pull you back into an unhealthy situation. Up. Thank you. I realize now that staying would have only made things worse for both of us. I'm relieved that her parents are taking over, and I'm focusing on moving forward with my life.